Aubrey, I heard that you won a spelling competition when you were younger. So you're a very
Yes,
good speller, right?
right. I'm a champion speller, you guys, in elementary school. I won at the school level and then the district level. And I even went to a spelling competition at a mall once and won it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Funny.
Unfortunately, not everyone is as good at spelling as you are, Aubrey. And recently one of my tasks that I did for All Ears English recently was I had to read through like spreadsheets upon spreadsheets of student questions about IELTS. And you know what? I saw so many questions about spelling. So many students out there are struggling with spelling. And this is a necessary thing to get right for IELTS.
Absolutely. I see questions about this a ton as well. Is really vital for your listening exam. You have to spell the words correctly in your answers and
Mhm.
also writing.
Yeah.
Spelling can really pull down your scores if you're spelling a lot of words incorrectly on your essays too.
Yeah. Imagine using all of this great vocabulary and then you have too many spelling errors and you still can't get better than a 6 for vocab, right? Like that it's a tragedy. So today guys, Aubrey and I combed our brains and the internet trying to find the 3 most important spelling rules that we think students need for IELTS. So, we just saw another question on Spotify about this actually. Aubrey, can you read Yusuf's question?
Absolutely. It says, "Hi, team. Thank you for the podcast. It's been a great help during my exam preparation. I have been struggling to improve my spelling for quite some time. I've tried various methods, such as reading books and repeatedly writing words, but I still haven't seen significant improvement, especially when it comes to using the right vowels. Can you suggest a way for me to improve my spelling within 10 days? All the
Mm,
best, Yusuf." This is such a great question. I love that we're highlighting this one because we have talked about spelling on this podcast as well as on All Ears English,
yeah.
but there's a lot that goes into it. There are a lot of different mistakes we can make. There are commonly misspelled words.
Yeah.
So we want to dive into this today, focusing a little bit more on how vowels can trip us up.
Yes. So, definitely go back up in the feed to IELTS Energy episode 1395. We touched on this about when we use the H to spell words, but we don't say the H. And then recently on an All Ears English episode as well, like Aubrey said, All Ears English 2215 led or lead 3 common English misspellings to avoid. So check out that on All Ears English. Hit follow there and hit follow here, guys, so you don't miss another amazing episode. All right. So let's get to these rules. What is the first important rule for students to know?
Yes, so if you have not heard this yet, we learned this as children in English when we were learning in school, the rule I before E except after C.
Mhm.
This helps a ton because those when I and E are together, this is really confusing, right? But if you have this rule, generally we write IE for all of these words: fierce, pierce, believe,
Mm,
unless it's followed by a C, or
right.
unless they follow a C, like receive or ceiling.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And guys, Yusuf mentioned that the vowels are what's tripping him up, and this is if you're going to remember one rule in 10 days, Yusuf, this is the one to remember to control vowels. But really, it goes back to phonics. I mean, you know that I'm a substitute teacher in elementary schools here, and this is what we're teaching kids all the time about phonics and spelling because the vowels are so hard. Like just the one sound, like long E, has so many different ways we spell it, right? So Yusuf mentioned he was reading. Guys, reading is one of the best ways to improve your spelling over a long period of time, right? But you need to read a lot for that to happen. So, one exception, because there are always exceptions to this rule, I before E, except after C, which, by the way, guys, I still say this rule in my head when
I
I'm
do too.
spelling stuff. Yeah,
Like friend, whenever I write friend,
right.
I have to think I before E except after C. Okay. IE.
Totally. Exactly. Exactly. So, one exception to this is the word weird because it's weird. I love that that's a joke, but weird is WEIRD. And guys, I apologize for the English language, but English is made up of so many different languages and that is why our spelling is all over the place.
Exactly. And with this rule, you want to keep in mind that the other exception is when the vowel makes the sound A, then we write EI, like neighbor and way. So that is the one exception. So this
Nice.
is a little tricky where you have to understand, remember this I before E, except after C,
Mhm.
and then except as in neighbor, like when it makes that A sound. And then, like Jessica, a word like weird just breaks the rules.
All right. What is the second spelling rule for our IELTS students today?
So, this is all about silent E's. These can be really difficult if you're hearing spoken English to know when to add this E at the end. It's silent, we can't hear it, right? So, we add a silent E at the end of one syllable words to make the first vowel long.
Yes,
I remember hearing, E at the end of a word makes the vowel say its name. So,
exactly.
instead of the like, Matt, you add the E and then it says its name, A, mate.
Exactly. So, some more examples of those guys. So, we go from short vowel a to long vowel a, or short long e, right? So, the long vowel sound says its name, like Aubrey said. So, we add the e at the end of the word when it's a long vowel, right? So, rat, rate has an e at the end. Met, no e. Meat has an e at the end. Rip, ripe, right? That vowel sound I. Con, cone. Cone has an E at the end. One more example, tub, tube. Tube has an E at the end. So that E at the end of the word is silent, but it makes that vowel long. So here, guys, you do have to know how to pronounce this word in order to use these rules. Don't forget, guys, that these spelling rules go hand in hand with phonics or pronunciation rules. Okay. You have to know the one in order to figure out the other.
Exactly. And keep in mind for the one here that's a little tricky, met and meet, because of course there's also the word meet, meet. This is the verb mete, which is actually a band nine verb. If you can use it in your essays, it's very high level to say that a government should mete out punishment or consequences to
Hmm.
like distribute. This is a
Right.
very high level word. Yes. And yeah, just like Jessica was saying, it's all about understanding phonics rules, knowing what these different vowels do normally, and then understanding how they break the rules and these devices that can help you know how to spell them right.
So just a little side note here on meat. So we have mete, right? Meet out justice is a collocation I hear a lot. Like Aubrey
Yes.
said, band nine. But then we have meet. Meet said sounds the same. That's like to get to know someone, to introduce yourself to someone. And then
And then there's another
meat,
homonym.
which is the animal that we eat. Like, yeah.
That's
All
true. I
right.
didn't think about the other one. Goodness. This is really what makes spelling difficult. You do need to be aware of homonyms, these words that sound the same but are spelled differently. This also will help a lot.
All right, so we have one more spelling rule for you today, guys. Um, when a multi-syllable word ends with a Y, it makes the E sound long. Okay, so if there's an E in the word and then there's a Y at the end, that Y at the end is E. It's the long E sound. And I wanted to not only include this, we're going to give you examples. I wanted to include this rule because of spelling. I do see these mistakes, but guys, there's a lot of first languages that do not end words with the long E. So, for example, a student maybe from China, for example, might say technology instead of technology. So, make
Mhm.
sure, guys, when a word ends with that final Y, that E sound, when you pronounce it, do say it out loud, okay? Because that is a pronunciation mistake that I hear often. All right. So, what are some examples of this final Y making the E sound?
Yeah, so all of these are spelled with a Y at the end: edgy, cozy, alley, beauty, agency, ability, parody, a winery, which I just went to a winery in Sedona. It was so fun. It was
Lovely.
the first time I've ever been to a vineyard or a winery.
Oh, I've been to so many wineries. Oh my
Nice.
gosh. My favorite wineries I've been to were definitely in Stellenbosch next to Cape Town in South Africa.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
then in Oregon, there's tons of wineries around here. So
Mm.
I've been lucky on that note.
I loved it. I've gotta hit up a few more.
But just to highlight some words we just said, not just for spelling, but for use on IELTS,
Mm.
edgy is a great adjective to describe a slightly rebellious sort of vibe if you're describing a person or a style, right? Cozy instead of saying comfortable. Cozy's great slang. So write down those two words, guys, to add to your vocabulary list. But then also listen to today's episode a couple times and make notes on these spelling rules and try to come up with your own example words using these rules so you remember them.
Yes, and our final bit of advice is often the words you are spelling incorrectly, you're spelling the same ones again and again. So
Mhm.
when you write your IELTS essays, put it, run it through Grammarly, put it in some kind of spell checker that will catch your spelling mistakes, and then note the words you're spelling incorrectly. Pay attention so that you don't just make the same mistakes again and again, not even realizing it, and make them again on test day.
Exactly. You have to be very proactive about improving your spelling, guys. I mean, we've said, and Yusuf also said he was doing this, reading does improve your spelling, but guys, I am such an avid reader. Like I have never not been reading a book from the time I could read, okay? And you know what? I still spell words wrong sometimes.
That's
So
not a
reading
given.
reading is not enough, guys. It helps for sure, but it's not enough. You have to keep a spelling list. You have to learn these rules and be proactive about improving your own spelling.
Awesome. Definitely. Thanks for joining us today. I'm excited for you guys to improve your spelling so that it can, in turn, improve your IELTS scores.
Excellent. All right, Aubrey. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Awesome. Thanks, Jess. Bye.
Bye.